go live over on. Sorry for people on YouTube. I apologize. I just realized
YouTubers.
that I didn't hit the start stream on YouTube. But don't worry, we'll upload the rest of it here.
We
In a
promise
little
that this
while.
man is a professional.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a new platform for us, so this is
To this
something
point.
that we've never used before. We're 7 minutes in, but we're about 4 minutes in really after we started. So welcome to everybody from YouTube and all around. Guys, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to try to cover here, and I don't know how long it will take. I don't plan on taking 2 hours, maybe about an hour and a half. We like to cover it down, but I mean, because there's been a lot of things going on, and I've been busy, and Lance had been doing a lot of things, and Jim came back from the dead. You know, I think it's important for us to give a comprehensive overview as best we can of everything that you've missed in the past month. And really about a month and a half or so, we had a great interviews with we had guys from Krusty and Dar Reacts from our YouTube guys. People loved that. Like, that was so fun having them on. We talked with Markea Bayless, who went and played in Australia, and some of the other great people as well. Which
That
is
is
fun.
so cool.
That's all exciting.
That's
so cool
awesome.
To see that. But we're gonna run through it, right? Okay, so we're gonna quickly cover Canada, Jamaica, USA, things that are going on right now, pretty much in the past month. Obviously, this is going to be very USA heavy because there's been a lot going on with USA Rugby League, a lot. So everybody's getting their hands ready. So I'll tell you what. Let's start in Canada. Oh, I'll tell you what. Let's start in Jamaica because Jamaica's just, they're just kicking off the season. So first thing, the NCCW will now be starting. So the National Championship, it's awesome. Jamaica's got a women's rugby league team who played in the America's competition against the U.S. and Canada last fall for the first time. They're going to play again this coming fall, but that's going to be kicking off soon. So that's really cool.
That's awesome.
I want to talk a little bit about the NCC, and we're getting ready to enter week 14. And my question for you is, gentlemen, is anybody ever going to beat the Duhaney Park Red Sharks?
No. Not until everybody else. They obviously are. They're like I hate to say this as a Bostonian, but they're like the Yankees of that league. Like they have. I mean, I'm trying to be nice. They have such an you can tell that, like, organizationally they are just head and shoulders above everybody else. Like, they need to give classes.
That
like,
hurt, by the way, that hurt. That
I
really,
know.
really hurt.
I saw that. I know.
Right there.
I'm sorry, Lance. It hurt me too. I had to say something nice about the Yankees.
Right. Why are you speaking good about those?
I know.
I know, right?
This is for our international audience who may not know all the intricacies of American sports. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Yeah,
I'll chill out.
Well, okay, so Lance, I mean, I don't know how much you can be honest. Like, how much do you follow the NCC? I mean, you follow like all kinds of rugby stuff. I don't know if you have time to see what's going on in the NCC.
Well, I know I probably look at more or less front runners in a sense. Right. I won't be able to look at player for player, knowing deep stats. This guy had 4 assists in the first half of the season.
We can't even do that in the U.S. right? I would expect us to do it in Jamaica.
I mean, in a roundabout way, you can kind of figure things out and get the tone. I know that this Red Shark team is pretty much collecting championships at this point, winning 9 tournaments in Jamaica, and they're pretty much running amok with everybody. And I know the season just started, so we want to hold out for hope. Like, any team can win, but it is what it is in the end. So
any team can win, but can they?
Can they? Can they? Can they?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's I think I was trying to go back and look. I think they've won the competition. I want to say they've won the competition for like the past 5-6 years. Like, undefeated. I was gonna sign up.
I don't. Yeah, that's.
What was it last year? I think the Bulls almost beat them one time, and then I think week 2 of the season, because they're getting ready to enter week 4, right? And this is the 18th year of that competition, by the way. So
which is amazing.
Which is amazing. I think so I think we get to the U.S. like we're getting on year 15 of the USARL, I think, or
Yeah.
I think it's 15. I'll double check. I should know that. But I think that they almost lost like 2 rounds ago when they won like 18-16, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I can't remember it. Yeah, Portmore I think is who they played, so they almost lost. Anyway, so congratulations so far to the Duhaney Park Red Sharks, who continue to win. That's pretty much what we have covering Jamaica. Let's move on to Canada, everybody's favorite northern country. I want to start in the Ontario Rugby League, and for the first time in history, the Tavistock Trash Pandas take the ORL championship. For those of you internationally who don't know what a trash panda is, it is a raccoon or a raccoon, depending on where you're from, which is a little animal that looks like a band.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it. But trash panda is funnier than that, so I think I'm all for trash pandas. Here's my question to both of you. I think the season was 4 weeks long. Is that why? One, is it too short? I think I know the answer for that one. Jim, we'll come to you first, and then 2, why can't we play more rounds? And what does that do to like the overall morale of ORL when you look at RLBC?
Exactly. Like, one, first of all, congratulations to Tavistock, who absolutely destroyed it. They didn't just win.
No.
I mean, holy Jesus. I mean, that was like
obliterated people.
That was ridiculous. I mean, that was like putting the Maple Leafs in like a major junior league. They just annihilated people. Like, that was insane.
For those who don't know who the Maple Leafs are, that's hockey.
Hacky.
Hockey.
We're talking hockey now.
Hockey.
But yeah, it's way too short. It's way too short. And I understand, obviously this is amateur sports. People have lives, people have children, people have things they gotta do, people have jobs. They've been playing for at this point, they've been playing for so long up there. And it's great they added a new team. There's a lot of positives here. They added a new team, super competitive.
Until the first week of the season, by the way.
All of a sudden, it was like, hey, poof, we have a new team. Like, who are they? Like, why is this team so good? Like, why does everybody else suck? Like, what happened to Toronto, who's been the City Saints, who've been around since, 2012 or something? 2011? That's like an old team. Like, what, did you lose all your players to these guys? Like, what? Who are these guys? I mean, you gotta, I don't say you gotta, but it would be nice. It would be nice if they had someone in the ORL who was like, could take an afternoon and tweet out like, okay, well, this is why Tavistock is so good, and like maybe why the other teams are kind of struggling. And they got to play more games. I mean, I'm sure they want to, and I'm sure they're going to listen to this and go, but you don't know about blah 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 blah. And I'm sure you're right. But you got to play more games. They got to play more games.
Yeah.
Got
Lance.
I don't. So I'm sitting here confused. Like, all right, season is only 4 weeks. That doesn't really count for a season. So I Googled how long was it?
I think it's 5 weeks actually.
5 weeks. So I Googled. I went to my Google.
Everybody played each other once. They had a playoff and they had a final for 5 weeks.
So no home and away. Usually you do something to stretch it out past 7 games. But it's a fixed time in the year where a particular sport is played. So technically it falls under a season, but that just seems so bland. So bland. So it needs the other definition of season, which is to add herbs, salt, pepper, and other spices for flavor. Because this thing,
wait, are you trying to get like Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Colonel's secret recipe here?
They need at least 13 spices to that season instead of 4, or you know what I mean? Like, you play 4 weeks, have 1 bye, then what are you gonna do with the other 47 weeks of the year? To you know what I mean? Like, your training camp is longer than your actual season. That's almost unheard of. But with that being said, though, rugby league played anywhere is good everywhere. So while I say that, thank you so much for having a 5-week season or however long it was. More, please, but I'll take what I can get.
Exactly. We're not mad. We just want more. We're not trying to say anything bad. We're not trying to denigrate them. We would like more. I want to see Tavistock play like, there needs a team. They got to have a team in Mississauga now. We need a team called like the Mississauga Cobra Chickens or something.
Why is that name awesome? Why is that name awesome?
Lance, that's what Canadians call geese. Cobra chickens.
I need to know more about this mystical land up north.
It's a fun place. It's a fun place.
Yeah, that's,
Trash Panda was enough for me, but Cobra Chicken.
I do like Trash Panda. I think Trash Panda is a very
so good. It is so good.
It is a great. Yeah. Sorry, I'm putting a join us now on Instagram stories. By the way. So.
I wish I knew people in Mississauga. Now I'm gonna try to get this started. Mississauga Cobra Chickens 2025. I gotta send out some emails.
Listen, it would be different, from other locations like in the U.S. and like the RLBC. You got teams in Whistler and making the commutes super far. Like that. I mean, Ontario for the most part, all of those teams were within we'll call it hour drive. I believe. Ish.
Yeah, I mean Tavistock is they're like the farthest out.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Tavistock's like the farthest out.
We'll call it 2 hours, which is still closer than most teams in the U.S. play each other.
Almost all the teams in the U.S.
All the teams in the U.S.
All the teams.
Minus Utah and the Toronto and the L.A. teams.
Yeah, right.
Because then you have traffic of Northern California that messes with those teams. So, but I think from that standpoint, right, what we start looking at is guys like. I know the ORL is growing. I'm glad that they added another team, right? Because it gives them 4 teams now. So you can have home and away 2 months. And they played, I think, at the beginning, like end of April, beginning of May, middle of April. It's like you could have waited another month for warmer weather, but I think they're worried about Union 7.
Yeah, that was my assumption, was that it was Union players. But I mean, hopefully now that they've got it going. Next year, they can plan a little more, and they can add at least 2 more games.
Stephen Birchall over on YouTube did confirm that it was only 5 weeks, including the finals. So we've confirmed that. That's what
we need more.
Because we need more.
We need more.
ORL, we're calling.
We need more.
We need more. So,
we need it.
Let's go to the other side of the great country of Canada, and let's talk about the RLBC. The Nines tournament, which this is kind of their new thing. Like every year, they kick off the season with a Nines tournament, which I think is
awesome.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Get them all together, have some fun. Whistler Wolves took it this year, so that's nice. Regular season starts this weekend. This weekend's a big weekend because we've got the U.S. kicking off, we've got Canada kicking off. When I think in what it is, in about 3 weeks, both the U.S. and Canada, minus the ORL, will have and Jamaica will all have games going on in the Western Hemisphere at one time. And
amazing.
It'll be a ton. Like I forget, I'll pull it up while we're chatting here and pull up the actual numbers. But it'll be, I believe, somewhere in the 13 matches, and all 13, 14 matches over 1 weekend. So
that's amazing.
So RLBC Nines won by Whistler Wolves this weekend. Regular season starts. Lance Kavanaugh, coming to you. First question. Is Point Grey Thunder going to quadruple-peat? I don't even know if that's a word. We know three-peat. I don't think there's a word for quadruple-peat. They've won 3 in a row. Will Point Grey win a 4th consecutive RLBC title?
Come on, let's find out together. You ready? All right, looks like the chance are good. See, but this is the thing though. We talking about British Columbia. That is on the far other side of where I live. That's literally the most opposite space that it can be for me. I went online, tried to find some things. It felt like I was running in circles. Could be just my Google's failing me. It got me the definition earlier, but it's not giving me scores in history. So with that being said, sure. Yes. I mean, the probability is so high. I have to say yes to sound like I know that I'm a genius. But in all actuality, it's hard to tell if, these Calgary teams or if maybe a Seattle team can pop in over the next couple of years and stop the 5-peat before it's looking pretty short. But that's just me.
All right. I mean, I think one of the big things, Jim, is sad that you weren't on this podcast last year because we must pay homage to your favorite team has now from the RLBC has officially got gone by the wayside.
Oh,
no
no.
longer are the Coastal Cougars.
God damn it.
A sad moment in history.
God damn it.
For those of you that want to go back 2 years to a really funny joke, please do. As an episode with Nate Gladden, one of the funniest moments in podcast history, talking about the Coastal Cougars.
I apologize if I ever like your team, anyone in the rugby league world, because if I like a team, they end up dying. It's I don't know why. I'm.
Let's actually we'll talk about that as we go into the U.S. here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think Vancouver, a solid team. The Vancouver Dragons, a solid team. I will say this, guys. I don't know if you know this. You saw all the big jerseys and stuff that we did. And, they got voted the favorite jersey of all the different jerseys that we did.
That was a great jersey, man.
Great jersey. Thank you. I appreciate that. They have that design as their kit this year.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So
well, that's cool.
See some good photos. I think Tampa. Tampa's done it as well. The Rhinos did it, so the Rhinos took our design, which I love the Rhinos one, and I think the Banditos kind of played on the one that I did, so that was kind of fun. So I appreciated that.
That was awesome.
I think this year, I think it'll be closer.
You hope so.
Last year, the Point Grey Thunder came from the 4 spot and beat Whistler, who was the regular season champion, the minor premiers last year, and then went on to beat Vancouver, who was the number 2 overall team. Maybe, I don't know. I think this year, maybe we'll get the Dragons. I'm going to pull for the Dragons only because Rugby League in America logo is on the Dragons kit.
There you go. That's a good reason. It's a good reason.
They're going to win.
I like that reason. They're going to
win.
Let's go. They're going to win.
Dragons, baby.
Come on, Dragons. Let's go.
Sorry to all of our wonderful fans in Whistler and everybody else.
Yes. No offense to Whistler, but yeah. Dragons.
They didn't choose our jersey, but they also.
Yeah. Sorry. See. Dragons.
Okay. So that's what we get going on in Canada. And I think Stephen, who is very active there in Australia, said this weekend the U.S. has 6 games, and Jamaica and Canada also have 4 and 2, so 12 games this round. And this round, week 1 for the USARL and the RLBC, and week 4 for the NCC. The big thing on that one is that RLU, Rugby League United of Northeast, isn't playing this weekend. So that's 2 more games. So theoretically, we're talking maximum of about 14 games at one particular time.
Which is all. I mean,
But that's 14 men's games, right?
Yeah.
Because then you have West Coast women and you have East Coast women too, which we'll talk about too. So this is, all kinds of great stuff.
We're
really excited for it. Let's move on to the U.S. And on my list of things to talk about on the U.S., we've got a lot.
This is a large document that you sent me.
This is a large document.
It's a large document.
37 pages full of information and things that I like to send the guys before we
pictures
have a podcast. You're not supposed to tell them about the pictures. Don't tell them about the pictures.
I won't show them.
All right, here we go. Let's talk USARL Inc., USARL Board of Directors news. And I think, one of the biggest things is when the new board of directors was established at the beginning of the year, there was a call that went out for highly qualified individuals who may have been in rugby league or business or other things, and there was interviews and people brought in. The USARL added 2 people to that board. First one, former Parramatta Eels CEO and Sydney Roosters CEO Bernie Gurr joined the board of directors, and current Sydney Roosters CEO Joe Kelly has also joined the board. These 2 gentlemen are so qualified to do just about anything in rugby league. It's
finally.
I can tell you from a personal standpoint, they are an absolute pleasure to work with. Just the knowledge that they have, and the experience that they have in the game itself has been phenomenal.
I'll tell you, other than the rugby league stuff, it was exciting to learn. I didn't know this, even though I'm a big soccer fan, that Bernie Gurr worked with the '94 USA World Cup organization, because that is also a huge aspect that we were missing, which is people who know rugby league, but that also know the American sports market. Dun, dun, dun. Like, it's a different animal that other people don't seem to understand.
That is a very important piece of all of this, is that we can take where we want from other people, but can they apply it to who we are?
Exactly.
And have somebody to have a basis understanding of that is a big step forward. But also, as you say, I'm working with them directly. We know we got good people involved. I'm gonna give you some clout, Dustin. If Dustin say they good and a pleasure to work with, I'm pretty sure that they are.
I agree.
I look forward to see what they can.
Give me clout?
If you're friends with friends of Dustin or friends of ours, it works out all right.
Yeah.
He hangs out with us. I mean,
I'll take my flowers. That's fine. No, I mean, here's the thing. Both of these gentlemen, again, like I said, a wealth of knowledge. I think Bernie, I had on the podcast actually, and I think it was Bernie had reached out originally, on social media, and we were kind of chatting back and forth. And I said I want to get Bernie on the podcast before the NRL, just because he lives in the U.S., he's got that experience, and I think he was so knowledgeable of what's going on and the need and what the NRL needs to do. I think some of the people said, well, he's definitely somebody that we should have on this board of directors. Yes. That was great. Joe Kelly, I mean, how often do you get like a CEO of one of the biggest rugby league clubs in history to sit on your board of directors? So, Lance, I'd love to hear, like, I know my thoughts, and I've worked with these guys for the past, 2 months or so, month and a half. I'd love to know kind of, what your perspective is to bring, these two gentlemen into the game in the U.S.
Well, there's a few things that I have to say for the initial part of it. A lot of what's been going on with the shuffle, bringing in these new board members, and making our way into restructuring everything we've done over the last bit of time, to have people involved who also are connected and linked to the steps we're trying to get to, for me, it gives me like a sigh of relief. First of all, the infighting is done, or at least from what I can see, is taking a giant backseat. And that to me was always my biggest fear. We restructured just to all of a sudden have the USA RL Super RL pop up, and then they start trying to take teams, and all of a sudden it's a team in Omaha, Nebraska, and all over, and not connected to the whole thing. So to finally have not only people who are connected to the NRL, but have people who can see what we do and have that vision, to me means that the next 10 years, the next 5 years, the next 3 years are going to be made for the real big expansion of rugby league in the United States, and I'm here for that 100%.
Yeehaw.
Yep. Jim?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm old, and I remember the AMNRL days, which were fun. They were fun, but it got ugly, as it usually does. Got ugly, and teams closed, and teams moved, and teams changed their names, and then the whole damn thing broke open, and then we had a big split, and then that sucked. And then we had another problem, and then we started fighting. It's unbelievable, and and Lance is right. It's just you as an American rugby league fan, you have almost like PTSD. You're like, oh, things are going well. Oh no, like, oh god, like someone's gonna he's I love that, the Super ARL, right, yeah, like Omaha, Nebraska, like Sioux Falls, South Dakota Rugby League, like, oh man,
Listen,
this
way,
is
if anybody is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota,
if you are,
would like to start a rugby league team,
please,
we
are jacked. That would be amazing.
Midwest,
let's do it. We do need the Midwest. Like, somebody's got to get. If I had the money, I would give it to the Chicago guy, because Chicago Stockyarders is the best damn name. Like, that is so good. We gotta get that running again. But this is the most optimistic I have been in a long time.
And for everybody who's listened to the podcast for the past 3 or ish years since Jim and I since I took over and stuff. Jim, not an optimist.
Not normally. No, that's not my job around here. No, that's not my job. You don't bring me on the show because I'm happy.
I don't bring him on for sunshines and rainbows.
No.
We're not going to do that.
I'm from Massachusetts. That's not what we do. This
Right?
is not.
Nobody.
This is not our thing.
Right. Okay. So, hey, Mike Williams over on Facebook, up the Rhinos. That we'll talk about you here in a little bit. That's exciting. I was worried for a little while, but glad to see what they're doing in there. Okay. So Bernie, Joe Kelly, great stuff. Big
Awesome.
news that was said on there. We'll go down to the next topic, basically in sequential order of press releases that have come out from the USARL, and that is, one of the things that the USARL has to do as part of governance and the IRL reform was to, one, get its house in order, have its competition, its teams, everything, and leading all the way up until the new board, it's been working towards that. So everything is kind of moving along the line. One of the other things they ask for people to do is you need to have a chairman of the board, you need to have a treasurer, and you need to have a corporate secretary, just as part of a governing body. Of course, Jim, you alluded earlier that Bernie Gurr had worked in finance he had worked in finance, but he also was part of the financial aspect of the '94 World Cup in the U.S.
I mean, that is a level of invaluable experience. I mean, that is unbelievable.
So the board said, Bernie,
will
you be the treasurer?
We're gonna let you do that shit. We're gonna let you handle that, my friends.
Yeah, and I can say, like, he's very great about it, very kind about it. So he's done that.
He does that at breakfast, and he's done. Takes 2 seconds.
If Bernie's listening, he may not say that, but no, it's good to have him on there. But it gives everybody it just gives him the knowledge of what's going on and kind of help guide people in different ways. And I think that's what it is. And that's, the board is so experienced in a variety of different businesses. It's actually quite exciting, and I'm happy to kind of see stuff that's happened. The corporate secretary, me.
Come on now.
Oh man,
don't
make it sound. Come on.
Listen, but here's the thing. I don't know how much you know about it. Please.
One of our own. One of us.
Woo! Also the head of marketing and media, but color me surprised on that.
Oh, hey. Well, I mean, that's...
by the way, all the press releases you read...
They better be. I mean, I just assume.
Yeah. But I try to sneak in subliminal messages for people there, too. No, I mean, I think it was part of one of the reasons why people wanted me to come on to kind of provide that guidance. But, obviously, as a business, we've got to be organized, and we talked about that. And part of being corporate secretary is making sure that we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. Oh, and lowercase j's. Don't forget those.
Can't forget those.
Make sure we're lined up on that. And then the new chairman of the board is Matt Goshnick. So Matt was out in the PCRL. He helped do some stuff out there. His first year on the board, took over for interim David Abo, who did a fantastic job kind of serving for throughout the whole NRL coming to the U.S. And it was just a great person to kind of guide us through that part. And then and he took over for Drew Slover, who did a great job kind of through the governance process. And I think things are just stacking up for people. Part of the USARL now is we're working on committees, and we're building committees that have people who are involved both on the board and both outside of the board of directors, because we're trying to get more people involved. And I think that's part of this, having chair and treasurer and corporate secretary, is showing people that we are building out a large structure. Literally, we're building a business for all into an unpaid business, but a business. We are. I mean, we're a corporate entity. We're trying to do stuff, and that's going to hopefully lead to a lot of great things, a lot of positivity, a lot of growth. I can tell you, we're actively working on searching for large sponsors and things like that we can work together with in a variety. I mean,
thank God.
That's what any company would do. It's what any national governing body would do. It's
right.
What, Major League Rugby does and NFL does. So that's what we're working on too. Thoughts on those? Then we'll move on to the next stuff.
Can I lead it off?
Please.
Go for it, my man.
The idea of us having think tanks, groups of people trying to figure out new and inventive ways to expand the game it seems like something that we never had. And maybe I
Nope.
might be putting the cart before the horse. I might be doing that, saying that it seems as though this is something that can change everything. I think the one thing that really is going to be the difference maker is the fact that we probably got maybe the top 5 corporate secretary in all of the United States and the world. And once you account for that bit, and
It's all money from here.
Hold on.
It's all money from here.
Have you been drinking? I mean,
have I been drinking?
I mean, we
this ain't
can.
vodka, This is water. I mean,
No.
This is surprising.
We should do that. We should have a we should have a Rugby League in America podcast after dark. We can get that going.
I mean, are we sponsored by a drink? Are we sponsored by a drink? No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
There's got to be a brewery out there that'll help us out.
Maybe
get on that, Dustin.
One of these committees that we got for the USARL can figure that out and get that together. We can have a drink.
Make it happen
for the boys every time. But no, the idea that we have people actually putting their brains together to move us forward in innovative ways seems like something that we haven't seen. You just named off a few places and a few entities that have it, and just to think that now that we have it, USARL has it. It seems like it's only a matter of time. That's the first domino to fall in a long line of greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one, I appreciate that ridiculously strong analysis.
Accurate.
Nope.
He's
right.
The accuracy of what I said.
Where's my bullshit button?
Preach.
God damn it! I don't have it right now.
People are so humble nowadays. It's tough.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway, Jim, do you want to follow up, and then
I mean, it's always hard to follow Lance's. Being the act after Lance is always a tough gig. No, I mean he's right though. I mean, I'm not. I don't go back to the '90s. I go back to the 2000s. But I don't think that, not to disparage anything, and like this has always been a volunteer thing. Anybody who has ever spent any time doing any kind of work for American Rugby League deserves a medal because it's a thankless job. But it's a thankless, lonely, obscure thing. But I mean, this is the most professional, literally professional, like organization. It finally feels like, this is something that is on, not yet anyway, but I always look at like U.S. soccer because I've been a soccer fan since the 80s. Like if we could get to where U.S. soccer was in the 90s, like the organization, the federation, the U.S. Soccer Federation, if we could get to that, that would be amazing. But Lance is right. I agree completely. We are on the road. Finally. Baby steps. Oh, yeah. Baby steps. But as long as we are on the road and making forward progress, that is goddamn amazing. I'm super jacked about the whole thing.
Here's the thing, right? Like when we talk about it's a long process. And I think we continue to see what's the word I want to use? The blockages that happen. Like how do we continue to grow? How do we help teams grow? How do we do all the different things? I think a lot of those things we're starting to overcome, which I think is great. A lot of those things and it just takes people, right? Like we're now a larger rugby league community than we had been in the past.
Again, awesome.
Again, right? I mean,
awesome.
NRL had their regions and expanded, and then Florida and everything else, and now we've got the whole West Coast and everything else. We'll talk about it here in a minute, but I think it just takes time, and it's going to take help from everybody else, and it's going to take help from fans and stuff who are part of it. Not just here in the U.S., but we do need fans from Australia, and we need the NRL. Honestly, I think like the NRL coming to the U.S. and having 43,000 people.
Oh no, that was awesome.
That game was
that's
phenomenal.
Huge. I mean, that's enormous.
Yeah. Jim, I wanted nothing more than you and Nate to be there with Lance and I as we were at the game. But it's just one of those things where it was a big.
I was watching, and I was yelling at people to watch at the bar I was at. I was making people watch, and they were like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "You have no idea. Like, don't understand."
On the East Coast there.
It was
So okay, so thank you for the kind words.
Hold on real quick. I just want to make sure we all recognize that JP was a drunk guy in the bar getting people to watch Rugby League.
I don't. That is my job. That is what I bring.
Where's that crown? Okay.
This is what I do. Like, this is what I do. I'm the drunk guy at the bar yelling, "Watch this! It's like football, except there's no forward passes or blocking. Shut up, sit down, watch this." That's my job.
JP, that's what the game needs. We need more of that.
I will start. I'll show you. We'll hang out. It's easy. I'll teach you the ways. I'll get you doing it, Lance. It's fun. You just do it in a thick accent. Nobody argues with you.
Lance Kavanaugh, the Padawan. All right, let's move on. Gentlemen, this one I may be more excited than anything else. But I have to have a caveat with this.
Oh boy.
We announced, the U.S. Air Board of Directors announced that for the first time, the U.S. Air had created a Youth Hawks team, U19 team. And for the first time ever, they will compete in the European U19 Championship. And some people might be, hold on, Dustin, wait a minute. The USA is not in Europe. Good geography, my friends. The USA is not in Europe. However, as it pertains to the European rugby leagues and the different rugby leagues around the world, we are a part of the European Rugby League. So, and we have America's Rugby League as well, but kind of fold up into that, the European region. With that, we were invited and we accepted, and the great stuff that George Tupou has been doing out, and Mel, sorry Mel, I shouldn't forget Mel, his wife, that have been doing out in Utah with the youth organizations, who not only played a full 9 season last year in the wintertime in Utah, they played inside at Zion's Bank. They also competed in the Nines tournament, and they have started to build the team that is going to go over to Europe and play in the European Championships for the first time ever. And they're going to play, the first game is going to be against Scotland, and I believe they will play if they win, I believe they play France. And so basically France and England get byes in the first round. The first round then becomes the winner of Scotland and England and Serbia and the Ukraine. So that's their 6 teams that are going to be playing, which is really unique. So they're guaranteed at least 2 games, because if you lose, then you play for like different places. So we announced, amazing, right? So first of all, it's amazing. I do have one caveat, and here's my caveat. I apologize that we went through the annals of time, and I looked and I said, did we have a youth team? And I said, couldn't find a youth team. However, Mr. David Nui, who was fantastic to come on the podcast, and I've been keeping in touch, did let me know that we had I think it was called a collegiate team, or
students.
Students, that's what it was.
Yeah.
In 96 and 99, went over to Wales and played in the World Cup for the students. So it's a little bit different. Robin Pierce, also, thank you, Robin, if you're listening or watching.
He's the one who told me about it.
Right, so super surprising. I had no idea. So big mea culpa. We'll make it. I will make it right on the US Aero website when we get that stuff up, because we want to. That's history, right? We want to make sure we capture that.
Exactly.
We
we gotta. That's really important.
That's one of the things. So big caveat on that. But youth rugby league going to play, not being created. So the Youth Hawks, the U19 men, it's U19 boys to start off with, going to go over to Europe and play against 5 teams who have had rugby league for quite some time. I'm going to start with Jim on you. Give me your reaction.
Oh, man. Yeah, we got to thank Robin. I didn't know about this. Robin was all jacked and mentioned the students team and that he had played in the students, and I said, I'm not familiar.
He wasn't angry about it. He was just like, oh, no, there was a
Yeah. And I was like, dude, I didn't know what we were talking about. I'm like, what is that? So I Googled it. I'm like, oh, damn. That was before I was involved or interested at all. I was like, that's amazing. But this is what you got to do. I mean, the next step will be to get, I'm assuming that this is primarily Utah people. I'm assuming this is like overwhelmingly Utah, which is fine. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with it. That's fantastic. I pity the poor people they're going to play against. That's going to be welcome. They're about to learn about, they're probably thinking this is like skinny white guys named Chad, and that is not who this is going to be. That is not at all what's going to happen there, friends. That is, no. It's going to be a different group of people.
I can tell you that while Lance and I were calling nines games and stuff, if you turned around and you watched those kids play, kids play.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap! Like,
how many of them could have started for the Chicago Bears? Like at least 4 of them. Like at least.
There were some athletes. I mean, that's part of it. Like that's what I'm excited about. Like, I'm so excited for what George and Mel are doing.
This is so this is so awesome. I mean, the next step is to get kids from different parts of the country, but you got to start somewhere, and somebody's got huge kudos to George and Mel for getting it going, because you got to get it going first. Yeah. So now that it's going,
quick on that, and I'll come to Lance. Is there are because of this, we've heard some whispers of people. I've heard whispers of U.S. eligible U19 that play in Australia right now. And different things like that. And that's for a whole another conversation. But there are some players that are playing with the Dead Pelicans that actually would qualify for U19, but they were just playing men's division. So I think the goal for the PCRL and some of the teams over there is to create those youth organizations, which is what needs to happen, right? Like, we all know this. Like, in order for this game to survive, it has to be, you have to start feeding people younger, and every club should have a feeder program.
Yeah, I remember back.
That's what I hope, at least. I hope that we can build it and do that.
I wish I could remember his name, but the guy who ran the Rhode Island Rebellion back in, and I want to say this was like 2013 or 2014. He had a high school competition going for a couple of games.
We had
and that was
like a live episode.
I can't think of that one. Not with me. I don't think so.
No, not with you.
Okay.
I think it was Lance and I. It was a late night episode. It was
He's
a
cool
Rugby
guy.
League after dark. It was
a
lot of Brown drink in that one.
I had a lot of friends that were going to Brown University back then, and I was down there and they were like, "Oh, we watched this crazy game," and they're describing to me like, "You're talking about rugby," and then when I'm like, "Oh, it's Rugby League," I'm like, "Oh, here we go!" Like, yeah, it's such a huge thing to do. It's such a big undertaking, and it's hard to run a club in the first place. So to get one going and then to get a youth thing, like we got to get there. And we will. Yeah. But
and these are the magical steps. These are magical steps I'm talking about. Appointing George as the coach. First of all, I don't think there's anybody that we would put more trust in to run it. That's the main part. So as far as our youth coaches go, we already have a sense of belief in that. That's one. And just as you said, when we were in Vegas, I sat and watched one of those matches, and it wasn't necessarily just them understanding the do's and don'ts of rugby league. It was literally how they carried themselves and how they operated within the game. The dummies, the steps, setting things up, the organization, how they communicated around the field. It seemed as though I felt as though I was literally watching the youth, what the youth could possibly be in rugby league in the United States right in front of me. And you're talking about now they have players that are U19s that were playing for the Dead Pelicans on the men's level. So now you got young folks that are playing up. And if they're competing in that sense, wait till they start playing against kids their age, even if they are halfway across the world. But I will say, a European championship would be absolutely phenomenal. But a part of me is still worried about our ability to just compete set by set by set.
Yeah.
If we can come out of this with having close games, close matchups, big hits, a big showing, win, lose, or draw. And this is one of the things that we can't get too arrogant past it. Win, lose, or draw, we're already taking steps that didn't even seem like they were possible a year and a half ago. And now look at us. It's like a part of me don't want to get cart before the horse. I do not want to say we got a U19s team. We taking over the world. I do believe that from what I've seen, I want to see how these group of players translate against the rest of the youth, and that will give us a great idea of what we're dealing with. I mean, Australia is Australia. New Zealand's New Zealand. They're gonna leave us in the dust in a sense. But for us to compete against those European teams, man, it's a beautiful new day. It's a beautiful new day.
That's exactly it.
Lots of excitement here with them. There is. By the way, Lawrence Almongo. Lawrence was the Rhode Island Rebellions.
Thank you. Yes. Jesus.
Dylan.
My deepest apologies to my fellow New
You
Englander.
had cut out at that particular time when we were talking to Lawrence, but that was the infamous episode where Dylan kept losing his internet connection, and we gave him hard.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan.
Lawrence, yeah. So Lawrence is the Rhode Island Rebellion. So he had mentioned that he might be interested in trying to revive that.
I would love to see it. I would love
like
to. I mean,
Curtis bring back the Connecticut.
As a New Englander, more New England Rugby League, please. Yes, absolutely. Bring back the Wildcats. Bring back the Rebellion.
And let me say this: if that happens, I'm just saying this right now. We're not even talking about the men's competition in general, but if those two teams come back, RLU is taking over everything, and there's no discussion furthermore.
That's
they pretty much.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
That'll be it.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. We gotta heal the rift there. We gotta bring back old teams and put them in the new competition and heal the rift. That's
we
what
must heal as a rugby league.
Exactly. We need to right there you go. Exactly. We need to heal. We need to put this back. Absolutely. Yes. The church say amen. All right. Now.
Amen. But 9 days in Serbia is going to be a great experience for those young folks.
Oh,
100%,
and 100%.
that's one of the things is like it's not just about playing games. It's not just it's the memories you make on the road. And for some of them, and for some players, I don't know for sure, but it might be their first time leaving the country. It might be their first time being in a place that's not outside of their home country or
they're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, so to be able to reach out and touch different parts of the world, these are the things we need, and the beginning of it is just already beautiful.
And it's a great advertisement. Like if you want to play this sport, well, you can go to Serbia. Like you can go to because you can't tell people that they're gonna there's no professional league. This is what we have to offer people. Like, hey man, like if you play this, you can go play in we play in the European Championships. That sounds awesome. Even if you don't know anything about rugby league, European Championships where and we're not playing like countries you've never heard of. This isn't like Liechtenstein or like Moldova. We're playing like, no offense to the Liechtensteinians or the Moldovians, they're gonna come after me now. But like, we're playing the Scottish and the Serbians, and we're playing like the name brand countries. Like,
France and England, man. I mean,
France and England. We're playing
France, England, Ireland. Once we talk about no Ireland?
No Irish?
No.
Oh,
that's what a real rivalry is though for us.
Oh, come on, man. We got to Rugby League Ireland.
No,
RLI.
They're having
they're having problems.
They're having a USA moment.
They're being Americans. They've been hanging out with their New England cousins too much, and now they've learned to fight.
They're also trying to do some restructuring and to get everything together again. So no Ireland, so only 6 teams, right? So
that's fine.
Well,
they're name brand teams. These are name brand countries. It doesn't matter what they're, but that's just a good marketing tool, recruitment tool. It's a recruitment tool.
Right. And hey, if anybody's out there and a company that would love to support the youth team. By the way, it is a 501c3, part of a youth-sponsored organization. Good corporate governance and corporate citizen. Be a good corporate citizen. You can to the youth rugby league.
Hey, do it.
You can go to usarl.org and you can fill out some information, and we'll be in touch.
Send Dustin an email.
Yes, that is me plugging us to find sponsors and stuff.
It's your job.
Or if anybody wants to just help support the youth team in general, by all means.
Yeah, please, yes.
All right. Man, we've been rocking and rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of things. We're getting hyped, getting excited.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff going on. I think it's time to talk about the USA domestic season.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Yep, big deep breath.
This is what I've been waiting on. This is what I've been waiting on, baby. No offense to Canada. No offense to Jamaica. No offense to the Sharks and the Trash Pandas and the Cobra Ducks and the Seagull and all these other miscellaneous animals that make a combination for a team name, right? No more worrying about the watery mongooses. No, let's talk about it. Dustin, take it away, man. Let's talk about it, man. I'm ready.
America.
So we talked about it. Jim, you talked about that kumbaya moment. Real
Oh
quick,
man,
shout out to Tom Pace, who also said "Go Para." Yep. Thank you.
go Par.
I'm happy. Thanks, Tom. Tom Pace is he was one of the big people who helped organize all the NRL Vegas fan people in the fan.
Oh, cool.
But wasn't affiliated with the NRL at all. It's like they had
Kudos to him.
Facebook following. So Tom's
Hey,
awesome guy.
Big
Good
kudos
guy.
to Tom. Absolutely.
Okay, so kumbaya moment.
Everybody's.
Here is the major announcement that came out. The USARL, for the first time, coast to coast, north to south, east to west, every single team will play in one domestic competition. The RLU has rejoined. The RLU teams have rejoined back with the USARL. So what used to be called the USARL South. So think of this like this. Let me try to explain it to everybody. Think of the structure of the USARL, and people are like, oh, the acronyms and stuff. So you have in the Northeast, you have Rugby League United. In the West, you have the Pacific Coast Rugby League, so PCRL, and then you have the Utah Rugby League Association. And what used to be known as the USARL South is now going to be known as the Florida Rugby League, because most of the teams down there are from Florida, including Atlanta, and Mr. Mike Williams, who's down there helping run Atlanta now. What each organization, what we put out there is that each one of these will basically be a conference, just like you have in professional sports. You've got the AFL and
AFC, NFC.
AFC, NFC, and then you've got each Midwest and the North and AFC North, AFC South. Think of it as that, right? So what's going to happen this year is that the RLU will play home and away matches. Florida Rugby League will play home and away matches. Utah will play home and away matches. By the way, home and away matches. Get this trend, Ontario Rugby League.
Please, yes. See what we're doing here. Come on, Canada. Come on, man.
Basically, everybody's going to play each other. So because California is such a big state, and they're all in one, so there'll be a few crossover games where Northern California will play Southern California. But what will happen in Northern California, you'll have the two new teams that have joined up with the PCRL, which everybody knows is the Sacramento Immortals, who just won the Wine Country Nines for the first time ever, first event ever for Wine Country Nines. So congratulations.
Awesome.
And East Palo Alto Razorbacks for the men's side. So we're talking about men's right now, and I'll get to women's here in a minute. Right, so the men's competition, east to west, north to south, all going to play home and away. Women's competition will do the same thing as well. In the west, you'll have the Mongrel and the Barracudas and the Dead Pelican women and the East Palo Alto Razorback women who won the Wine Country Nine for the women, right? So you'll have two in the north, two in the south. Two in the north, two in the south. That's in California. Over on the East Coast for women, you've got Tampa, you've got Jacksonville, who are perennial teams. They've been around forever, and now you have the Queens. So you had the Brooklyn Kings, and now you have basically is it the New York Queens? No, that's right.
I think it is.
Queens?
It is, yeah. I think so.
Yes.
Okay, it is.
Because
I knew
Brooke,
it was the Queens, but I couldn't think if there was.
You can't.
Yeah, I think that.
Because no New Yorker, you cannot say Brooklyn Queens and keep your teeth in your face. If you would like to keep your dentures and the rest of your facial structure the way that it is, you cannot be calling your team the Brooklyn Queens. That is not happening.
Right. So, just so you know, gentlemen, if you go now, you got 4 teams in RLU, 4 teams in Florida Rugby League. Those 4 teams, they'll each compete home and away. The 2 winners of each one of the conferences will play for the Eastern Championship. Over in California, the 6 teams will play for their championship. The 4 teams that are in Utah will play for their championship, and they'll play for the Western Championship. And then on championship, so basically there'll be Championship Saturday, where you have an East and a West Championship. And then the National Championship this year will be whoever wins on the West Coast out of, the winner from PCRL and Utah will play. That's where it will be housed, because last year it was housed on the East Coast, so they're alternating every other year. So the winner will go back, that's what we're working on at the moment. And I think it's a good mentality. Hi, Richard, on YouTube. Nice to see you. You just said hi. But so that's the structure. Same with the women. It's going to do the same thing. I think it's going to operate the same way. Whereas East Coast winner will play West Coast winner.
That's awesome. I mean, this is
okay. I'm
incredible.
going to stop for a second, and you guys can discuss.
Oh my God!
I'm in shock. Lawrence, Lawrence, no, I'm gonna let you go, man.
Lawrence, Joe Lawrence, JP, the powers that you had, you squandered.
He was thinking Lawrence earlier.
I know. I'm screwing with you. No. You really no? Go ahead. All
right, so in my entirety of following rugby league extensively came after the AM, RFL, and all those other guys kind of fell by the wayside. When I started playing, it was USARL, but it was only Florida-based teams. Now, I felt much like one of those people that live in, let's say, Serbia, since we talked about it before, watching watching a NBA team win a championship and say world champions. So when I see a team from Florida win the USARL championship and say they're national champions, okay, I guess I respect it. But really, and now, when I think of a national championship, including our previous national championship, which was the Dead Pelicans, correct?
Correct.
And actually having, I just had to double check, and actually having to fight through a system. They had to handle business on their end of the world because the USA is so big, and then they had to play someone who handled business somewhere else. Now we're even going further past that. This will probably be the first time, no offense to anybody in previous years, but this is probably going to be the first time where a national champion is going to be crowned, and I'll give them the respect of a actual national champion.
Finally.
Because I played in a league where it was only 4 Florida teams, and okay, Jacksonville beat up on everybody, or Tampa beat up on everybody, and God bless, they deserve to win. I'm not knocking anybody. But after seeing what the Immortals have done in Vegas, what they just did in the Wine Santa Clara, the Wine Nines tournament.
Wine Country Nines.
Yeah, Wine Country, right? To see that in California, in Utah, this is real to them. This is a whole, like, rugby league is something serious for them. Now we're talking about a national champion that we can jump on, me personally. So the winner of this year will get the full-fledged, wear the crown. Yeah, wear the crown. Confetti,
you get the full Lance Kavanaugh respect.
No, it's not just me though. I hope it's not just me. No. It definitely is one of those things where now we can really show
it's a huge
something.
Moment.
Yeah, something big about our domestic game, and the women's side especially, because there's more teams developing, there's more teams playing. To watch you earlier say that Jamaica have been playing this league for the last 12 years, right? 18. And then to see 18. I'm sorry, I got my math wrong. But to see us can't really build a domestic structure to that level. Even back in even earlier, the USAR was really just East Coast, right?
Yeah,
all up and down the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, and the South. Now we're really talking about pulling teams from all over, and that's something I'm happy to see. I can't wait for this season to unfold.
And one quick question, and Jim, I'll let you follow up with that, just to clarify too. So within that USARL alignment, we also saw that Utah, who was a part of the PCRL to start off with, is now, because we're going kind of like that conference system. So within each one of the conferences, they're going to be handling kind of the judiciaries and things like that. So Utah is its own separate entity now. They were going to have 5 teams this year, but they're through other reasons, like they're going to have 4. But there's already teams in Utah. I think it's Davis County. The Knights, I think they're going to be called, for next year. They're already planning for the next years. I can tell you that I've actually talked with people in Texas, which would be amazing to start getting Texas teams involved. Midwest teams, people in Illinois, not the stockyarders, are like, how do we get teams here? Like, so it's like these things are happening, but the goal is to like start getting more and more teams within each one of these conferences, if you will.
Right.
Now,
you got to be structured.
Said that. Jim, give me your thoughts on this. You've been around, you've seen it all.
Well, I haven't seen it all. I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen it all. But this is I mean, you got to have a structure. You have to have, this is the structure. And Lance is absolutely right. We finally have a national champion who can call themselves a national champion. You played the best from everywhere that there are teams. That is fan-friggin-tastic. That is we haven't had that ever. Like
Biggest
ever.
thing from last year, right, was so Santa Rosa, they won. They lost the West Coast to Provo, but Provo was disqualified for playing an
Right.
illegal player. They go to Jacksonville. They beat Jacksonville, national champions. But DC Cavalry up there were like, well, wait a minute, we
Right.
we murdered everybody. We challenge you. So now everybody gets to put money where
Now
their
you
mouth
can
is.
really do it. Exactly.
Now you
Finally,
Let's
we
do
can
it.
all play. Let's just everybody play the damn game. Play the damn game. Like, let's go.
Also,
This is awesome.
now women's competition too. Like
Which is I mean that is just, and this is
I-
such a great time for. I watched the PWHL championship last night. Unfortunately, it didn't go my way.
the
The
hockey.
pro women's hockey, full house in Songus. Yay, lol, but not great result for my Boston team. This is
WNBA going crazy right now.
Jump Greg. This is the best time in American sports history to get in on not the ground floor, but pretty close. Now that people are opening their minds to women's sports, hey, like, how would you like to watch a full contact sport? I would love to go to these women who play. There's a very successful Boston women's American football team, and there's an American football competition. Be like, hey, you can probably do both, and you can represent the United States. You can play for America, which you can't do playing American football, and you're great at that too. You would probably also be good at this. This is like the best time to be jumping on.
Like,
You know how to tackle. Like, this is the best time to be jumping on the wave of women's sports. Like, now would be the time. But it would be great to, yeah, Texas is a huge gaping hole on the map that you got to have. The athletes, Jesus, Texas is chock full. If any state has full contact sport athletes, it is the state of Texas. Good Lord. And he did put up that list. Yeah, I bet, yeah. He put up that whole list on Facebook a couple months ago with like a whole list of teams. I don't know what happened there, but
yes. Well, that's for another day.
Mike, I don't want to. I'm getting people in trouble. See, this is why people don't like me. I'm getting people in trouble.
No,
But
it's not that.
I would love to see that going. I would love to see Nashville rugby, very, very active on social media for a while there, and then not so much. But we got to plug the holes in the map. But you have to have a structure for the.
Any team can play.
Yeah.
Any team can, but you have, in order to be recognized by the national governing body, we've said, like, you have to register your team.
Yeah.
You can be
Now there's a structure. Now there's a structure you can play in. And that is what we have lacked for ever, basically.
Right. So, people who are playing with, want to play with Nashville or Cleveland, or, by the way, the women's team, the Rogue Runners, is a new one.
That's interesting.
And they're
very interesting.
Yeah. So they went up and they took the Ospreys, like they took it to the Ospreys. Dominant. But they didn't win. But they took it to them.
Hey,
they got some players. Some players from Chicago North Shore, the women's team,
which is awesome to see. That's a perennial women's rugby union power.
But they dabble in rugby league though,
which is great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So they're playing. They played in the nines and they did really well. And some of their players actually got to do the combine for the NRL. So anyway, great time to be a part of rugby in the U.S.
in America.
What's going on? Echo. Real quick, as we think about this, like, it will be multiple weeks. So I think, the master schedule, Jim, you're talking about it, like, to build like one master schedule for every conference that's going on. Like, it's a long sheet. I've actually got it. Hopefully be posting it out there tomorrow. It is. I mean, we're talking, 6 games for us to have this week, but it's 12 weeks of play, right? Because then you're going to have a North versus South. You'll have the traditional North versus South game, which will happen on the East Coast. You'll have a Battle of California, North versus South, men's and women's, I believe, which will have it over there. So, like, all kinds of fun things, like, going on to continue rugby league throughout the rest of the year, which not just ending at the end of August, right?
That's what you need.
The rest of the year, so that we can continue to promote the game and grow, so that we can bring more people in. Got to do it. With international test matches, the exciting thing that's happening with the America's Championship, which is here in the U.S. this year for the women. Also, that's a World Cup qualifier. So Anyway,
awesome.
Here's
Something else you can market with.
And then we'll, yeah, right. Here's what I want to do. I want to, and then we'll get to some questions that have been popping up on the socials. And we'll end with that. Here's what we're gonna do. I know that you guys follow every team with your true bit heart. I do want to talk, before I talk about this, actually, there's one thing that I did miss. And Jim, earlier, you had alluded to every team that you support
ends up dying.
Ends up dying.
It's fucking terrible. I'm cancer. I am literal. I am like lymphatic cancer for
back to Oneida.
The very first one. People that brought me to this party.
Dead. What was the other that you said that the team died?
The Cougars.
Oh yeah, the Coastal Cougars.
Coastal Cougars.
And then it got announced that the Boston 13s were entering a partnership with the infamous North Sydney Bears.
North Sydney Bears.
And with that partnership are now the Boston Bears.
No.
Lance, I'll come to you first.
He's excited. Lance is already excited about this. I can tell.
I think he was sneezing as I was coming to him. I want your thought on this, and then we'll get into what I was going to go to, and then we'll go to Jim so he can have time to.
I am always been a fan of uniqueness, right? So even though I talk junk about the Trash Pandas, it's an awesome name in a general sense, right? The Cobra Ducks awesome, or whatever. Oh, yeah,
Cobra Chickens. Cobra Chickens. Right. Mississauga Cobra Chickens. We're going to make this happen.
Those are awesome names. There was something that always stuck to me about Boston 13s. It's just something about it. The design of the jerseys, what Boston 13 meant to me when I thought it in my head compared to like what they would look like if they lined up across from you, just always seemed really imposing. It seems simple and straight to the point. You know what you're going to get. It's 13 of us. We a group. We rep us, and that's it. Now that there's a Bears, they fall into the same category as the Chicago Bears going 1-15, the Bad News Bears.
Wow.
And all of the other Bears that aren't really bare necessities to the whole rugby league landscape. They fall right into that group.
Or simple bare necessities.
Simple.
But I don't know. It was something about the Boston 13, especially when you added that jersey design that you had, and these little things that just seemed like it was like a full body movement. Like they had every. I don't know why Boston 13s for me just seemed like everything was
because it was awesome.
Perfectly in order. But now that they're the Bears, and no offense to Sydney, I think it's a great partnership. It's a step in a beautiful direction. Right. But 1-3s, man. What happened to the 1-3s, man?
It's
we'll come to you as we play sad songs.
Man, yeah, please, yeah. I'm sure there's like a sad Dropkick Murphy song we could play. Is there? There's got to be at least one. It's probably really loud and fast though. Anyway, there's. On the one hand, yes, like this is awesome. This is fantastic. Having a partnership with an established, big team. They're not in the NRL, but they hopefully will be. Good for them. That's awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. Be careful what you wish for. I just Boston 13s, it sounded old. That's the big thing. This is Massachusetts. Everything is old. We have the oldest baseball team. We have the oldest hockey team. The state is old. Everything is old. And it just looked old. They got me. I'm old.
He's 22. He looks 50.
I am really only 19 years old. It looked old. The 13 fit well because if you're from New England, you think of the 13 colonies. Like it's got the Revolutionary War aspect. It was in the shape of a B, but the logo was kind of the colors were kind of like the Celtics. Everybody, you
had the Irish backing, like the
man, like come on, and just why you would. I don't understand why you would, because now this is what people are gonna think. This is what already most of my friends think. They think it's an homage to the Bruins, which is fine. We all love the Bruins, but you already have a team in town who is like part of the pavement of the street
logo.
With a bear logo, an angry bear logo. You look at the North Sydney Bears logo. It's a snarling bear. The Bruins 80s classic logo is the snarling bear. people are just going to think it's an homage to the Bruins, which is fine, but that's not. You're not standing out. You stood out before, and you're not going to stand out now. And I know all my Australian friends. I have had this out with many fine citizens of the nation of Australia. They're the Bears might, and no disrespect to the North Sydney Bears. There are not 15 people in the state of Massachusetts who know who they are. Like, there's not. I don't understand why the partnership couldn't have been what it was in Vegas, where they wore a Bears-style jersey. That's cool. Have both logos on the jersey. That's cool. But keep the 13's name intact. Have a Bears away jersey. Have a Bears home jersey. Whatever. But keep it the Boston 13's so it's unique. And it's just in general, spin-off teams do not do well here in the United States. In other sports, the New York Red Bulls not doing great as a spin-off of Red Bull Salzburg. NYCFC is a spin-off of Manchester City. It took them years to overcome that thing. Chivas USA and MLS doesn't even exist anymore. Like, people in Boston care about Boston. No offense to Sydney. I love Sydney. Beautiful city. Wonderful people. It's not even city. It's North Sydney. It's a Sydney suburb. It's like a city. It's like part of a city. It's not even the whole city itself. Like, I'm not giving up on them. I'll get a jersey. Let's go. But just, it hurts me. It's just, I know. It's just, I'll get a jersey. I can't give up on them. I don't have anything else. I can't cheer a guy. I have, if there's a Boston team in a league, I obviously am going to support you. I am disappointed deeply with the decision to
see what you've done, Boston.
You've disappointed. Come on, man. Like, I get it, and I get it. They're like, oh, but we're getting this, and we're getting this, and we're getting this. If they had been giving them, and shout out, obviously, of always to Robin Pierce for all the wonderful work that he does and has done in Boston Rugby League over the years. Like, if they're not giving you money, which I don't think they are, if they gave them dinero, which I don't think they are, and if I'm wrong, please someone will correct me, because they always do. Like, before I make more enemies on the North Shore, North Sydney, like, if they were giving you money and, like, on, like, a field, like, somewhere to play, it's tough to find some place to play in Boston, like, that would be great.
They've always played at Harvard. I think they always played at Harvard.
They played at Harvard now. They played a couple different places. They've been all over the place.
Yeah, right.
But it's, if it was...
money involved, great.
If there's money involved, then I would be... If there was money involved and they changed the name because they gave them money, that's fine.
In a press release,
say it.
Hey, we partnered. They're going to be investing this much money.
And I'm also extremely skeptical about this pathway thing. Like, I need to know a lot more about that. Like, I need some cold hard details before I'm on board with that. Like, it's great. It could be. Yeah. Like, it could be. But I have heard this song sung before. Yeah. Like, so I'm skeptical.
Here's what I'll say, and then we'll kind of wrap this one up, too. Quick points is, like, yes, from a branding standpoint, known throughout the world. Like, as far as rugby league fans, they know Boston 13s. And people know the Sydney Bears. And it's something I was actually going to talk about it, but Steven on YouTube chat has just said the worst part about Boston's partnership is, like, what happens when it ends? Do they have to rebuild the 13 brand, or do they go in some other direction?
Well, right, that's another aspect.
Right, so that's one, and it's like, it's also not like North Sydney ever entertained a name change to the Thunder Bears or something when they affiliated with the Melbourne Storm, right?
There you go.
So many different things. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. The branding worked. Like, it's great. Be a partner.
It's awesome.
Don't take over. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said,
moving on.
No RLU matches this week. RLU doesn't start until week 3 of the total USARL schedule.
No.
This week, we're going to start down in Florida. I'm going to give you both matchups, and I want you each to pick a winner.
Okay.
And I'm going to track it. We're going to track to see who wins. So, Jim, up first, you've got the Southwest Florida Copperheads heading to the Atlanta Rhinos in the first match.
Atlanta's going to win. Atlanta's going to win.
Mike Williams taking over in Atlanta, kind of running the show.
Atlanta's going to win.
Is the new coach down there. Big Sean Hunt.
Atlanta's going to win.
Lance is laughing.
I mean, it's just how, he just said it so clean and clear. Atlanta's going to win.
Atlanta's going to win.
I can't go against the Rhinos until proven otherwise, especially at home. The Rhinos at home. This is the big part. They have to travel from Southwest Florida, all the way up 75, which is going to take them at least 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I say 7, but 6 hours, yeah.
It's
Long trip on the road, first game of the year. That is a grueling proposition to make your first hit up after a road trip. All the signs point towards the Copperheads getting stampeded by the Rhinos, so I'm gonna go Atlanta.
All right, and for the next match,
Don't you gotta do one?
No.
He's leaving. He's hanging us out to dry here, Lance. He's hanging us out to dry.
I'm not mad at it. It's genius.
That's all right.
It's
it is.
genius.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I never said who was gonna win. I don't know. Plausible.
I have to play impartial given my current status.
I see. Oh, plausible deniability's error. Okay, I see it. All right.
That's funny. Second game, Jacksonville versus Tampa.
Ooh, a grudge match. If we had, if there's such a thing as, that's got to be one of the bigger.
Right there.
That's a Florida. That's one of the biggest rivalries we have in this sport.
Quick, Jacksonville coming off the loss in the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys. I just imagine a lot of guys returning. You got a couple Hawks on the team. Same with Tampa as well. Lance, we're gonna go to you first for that winner.
I am going to go with Jacksonville.
Jacksonville at Tampa, by the way, at Tampa.
Yeah, but with them two teams, the travel means a little bit less. They're rivals. They play each other on a frequent basis. I think that from where it sits, Jacksonville got the head coach. Jacksonville has the history, even though Tampa knocked them off a few years back. I'm going to go Jacksonville, but in a very close, highly contested match.
Yeah.
All right. So because I can't pick, the real deal, Dylan Faraci is also picking on
all right.
ideas.
Okay, Dylan.
So Dylan's going week 1 picks, Atlanta, and then Tampa by 2 points. They didn't say how much.
Oh, see, that's
point spread. Ooh,
that's we'll do that next week.
Are we going to be on Betfred or whatever it is?
But yeah.
Okay. Also, so you've got. So sorry, Lance, you took Jacksonville.
Yeah, he's taking Jacksonville.
I'm taking the Axemen.
Jim, who you got?
I have to agree with Lance. I think that, but from my perspective, Axemen losing last year, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be fired up. Not that Tampa won't be. And I also agree. This is going to be. This is probably the biggest active rivalry that we have in the sport. Certainly the longest running. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be. This is like the game of the week. If this was the NFL in the '90s, this is the game of the week.
All right. Super Saturday. There we go. Okay, so everybody's taking Atlanta, and we've got you two are going to take Jacksonville, and Dylan's taking Tampa. What about the women's matchup? The Jacksonville Axe women versus the Tampa Mischief.
The Mischief. I love that name, by the way. That is just
chef's kiss for sure.
All right, Jim,
that is so good.
I'm
gonna go with the Mischief. I'm gonna go with the Mischief on this one.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Dylan, go ahead and send me your message in too if you're.
This is the thing though. The only reason that I would lean towards one team or another is based on the players that I know play on each team, the kind of pass that they have.
That's a good thing to lean on.
Right. In this case, especially.
I think I know what you're going, like who you're going for, based upon who just won the national championship.
You have to. Like, I hate following up with the same pick as him. I would love to be able to stagger him, or you know what I mean. But because of you have players that are confident. You have players that have success on the union side. Now moving over to the league side where the competition is less stiff. No offense. It is what it is for now. It'd be really hard not to go against Tampa, who I know have a few players who are making that push.
Team too.
Say again?
Because they've got a couple Hawks on their. I mean, they all have got Hawks on both teams, but you've got Sam Blight-Keels, who is captain.
She was going crazy just 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It gotta go. So I have to go. I have to go with Tampa.
And for Tampa, Dylan online goes Tampa.
We got to find a way to flip a coin and make sure we pick the same people or something.
There we go. Florida Rugby League taking care of this week. You are, the Utah Rugby League Association. Only one matchup this week. You've got the Riverton Seagulls versus the South Jordan Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs, a new team this year that entered the competition, taking the place of the Glendale Storm, who are not playing in the competition this year. I know, like, because I feel like I know I pick, but I want to start with Lance on this one, since that way you don't have to follow up. Who you taking, the Rabbitohs or are you taking the Seagulls?
I don't know if that's how a seagull sound, but damn it, it's close enough for me. I am going with the SGs over the
Seagulls.
Rabbits.
Okay. Seagulls over the bunnies with the loud screaming noise. I don't know if bunnies.
So that bird must be hurt. Is there an injured bird?
That's what happened. Yeah, just step on it, Jesus. It's a dead bird, man. Jesus Christ.
Jim, who do you
It's
got?
a dead pelican.
But we need a rim shot button. It's your job next week to have a rim shot button, Dustin. Next time we do this, we need a rim shot button. Well, it's not American Rugby League unless the team plays 1 year and then pulls out. That's Glendale Storm continuing a long tradition.
I think they'll be back next year.
Oh, good. Well, that would be less of a tradition. Let's start a new tradition where people actually come back when they pull out. It'd be amazing. I'm only gonna go with I love the, like, we're not gonna call it the Rabbits. We love South Sydney, and we're not gonna call it the Rabbitohs. We're gonna call it the Rabbitohs with a Z. Yeah. With a Z. That's fantastic.
TAHZ.
I love it. I love it. No, okay. Zed. This is America, Dustin. We don't say Zed. That is foreign nonsense.
Okay, so Lance, Seagulls.
I'm going with Rabbitohs. New team. They're gonna be jacked up. They're gonna win on accident.
Dylan going with the Seagulls as well, following Lance's step there. Let's move over to PCRL, big Magic weekend. So they're all playing in one location this weekend, which will be super exciting.
That's awesome.
And we'll start with the first one. Actually, we'll start with I think the last matchup, which is going to be the East Palo Alto Razorbacks coming into the PCRL versus the LA Banditos. Jim, what do you got?
I gotta go. Banditos, I'm really hoping, and I'm doing this more out of hope than anything else. I want them as the new team to do well, so they don't. I want the Banditos to win. I don't know if the Banditos are gonna win, but I want the Banditos to win. Vamos los Banditos. Let's go.
All right.
I'm gonna go with the Razorbacks. Give me East. I'm going Ray. I just want to be a dissenter now. This is the first week. Let's figure it out.
I was hoping you were gonna do like a squeal or something like that.
We gotta find all sorts of. We gotta make all sorts of. We gotta find all sorts of sound clips to play next time.
I got the Razors.
Dylan going with the Razorbacks as well. Next matchup, the Las Vegas Nines champion and the Wine Country Nine champion Nines team, the Immortals, coming in playing the San Diego Barracudas. And we're gonna start with Lance Kavanaugh.
I wish I could live forever. I wish I could live forever young. So I'm gonna go with the team that hasn't died. I haven't seen them die yet.
Yeah. I have to agree. I love, Ben is doing a lot of great work out there with the Barracudas, and no offense to them, but Sacramento by a lot.
Yep. And then Dylan goes Sacktown. So 3 for 3.
Sacktown.
Sacramento there.
A wonderful city.
Final matchup. LA Mongrel take on the defending national champion Dead Pelicans. I know it's a tough one. Jim, who you got, man?
That is hard. Not that I don't think the Dead, and this is going to be another knockdown, drag out, old school, as what's his face on SportsCenter used to say, NFC Norris division game. This is gonna be tight, but I'm gonna say LA. I'm gonna say LA is just
LA
gonna
Mongo.
win. LA is just gonna win. They're just gonna win. The next game is gonna be the Pelicans because they're gonna want it more. But I'm gonna give it to LA by the thinnest of margins, by the skin of the teeth. Are they gonna win? Woof woof.
Yeah. Okay. Going with the dogs. Lance.
I was mad at me because he was gonna pick the dogs.
I was gonna pick it, but not anymore. just because you picked.
That's it.
Just because you picked them.
That's it.
I'm going with the defending champions to somehow defend their first game back. Listen, man, this is bogus. If the dead Pelicans don't win, and I picked them to win, all because of he picking the other team, I will never live this down. I am picking the dead Pelicans to live and thrive.
This is why nobody in American Rugby League likes me. That's why. Stuff like this.
I'm sure they love you.
So Dylan's also picked the dead Pelicans. His grandfather's alma mater over there in San
Oh, there you go.
Okay, we've got our picks in. So much, like we're coming up on
major picks.
The one and a half here. Exciting times. Lots of matches. I mean, like I said, we got 7 matches in the U.S. Because
lots to watch.
So that's 7 matches with men's and women's. Can we add JP to this chat?
Yeah. At some point.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, we'll get that. Lots of questions going around from people online. Real quickly. Without fans, Jared Self, thanks for joining, Jared. We really appreciate it. He says, without a team nearby, how can we help support Rugby League in the U.S., buy tickets or merch, sponsor a player? Yes, there are ways.
All of that. You can do all of that. All of the above.
And I think he's actually ordered merch from us, too. So,
God bless.
It. We have some stuff on our store. Mongrel has stuff. Team stores are coming up.
Which is again a new thing.
We'll have more stuff coming from a U.S. Aerial standpoint. And then somebody else had a question over here, and I'll quickly do this, but I think that would be it. Richard would like to say that Lance is funny as haha. He likes how funny it is. But yeah, no, I mean it's. Here's the thing. Richard did ask one thing: the update on the 4 players who got selected to go play in Australia. So the women, both the women, one Canadian and one American, both of them did go play. You can actually, they went and played in the women's championship down there in the north. For the club championship, did really well. Marquez scored 2 tries. And I think Meg, she ran people over. I was watching some of that,
which is awesome.
Depending on where you're at in the country, there's always chance to start a new team.
Please.
If there's not a team nearby, hit up your local rugby union guys. Just search for people who like rugby league on Facebook in your space. I think it's important, right? So just find ways. Go talk to any D2 college football player that is no chance of making the NFL and say, hey, you want to continue to beat the living daylights out of people and play for a national team?
There's a thing we can do.
There's a thing we can do. I can do it for you. Yeah, I mean, keep supporting. That's all we can do. That's
the internet is your friend.
Yeah, I mean, we'll continue. Follow the teams as much as you can. Watch their live streams. Hopefully, they have it. Unfortunately, I think timing is going to be terrible, and I won't be able to call the national championship game. So, Lance, it may be up to you and Jim to call it. I know. I will.
Now you're all in trouble.
I will be celebrating my 15-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, look at this.
Over in Europe.
Look at this. You're going to... All right. Well, that's okay. Lance and I are going to have a great time. I'm going to teach Lance how to be the drunk guy at the bar yelling at people to watch Rugby League.
I will bring a notebook and one of my best pens to write down notes for
Let me tell you. I pity the people. I pity the citizens.
I know that guy. He's just popped into the Kyle Granby in the room. Hi, Kyle.
We know him.
See you, brother. Love the top. Lance has on his Roots Rugby League shirt.
So, he does.
There you go. Jim has on his Wolfpack hat. Got some other stuff up there.
Yeah, and if they could show some signs of life, talking about the fact that I like dead teams, there could be some. They could get their act together.
another episode because I talked
No.
to them in Vegas.
Oh, that would be good.
They weren't necessarily happy with me with what I'd said in the past.
Oh, they wouldn't be happy with me either. If they're not happy with you, imagine how they feel about me. I mean,
Great Married Lance, not Great American Rugby. Great Married Lance.
Great Married. I'm writing that down. Great Married Lance.
Well, gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
So much. I mean, there's more we can talk about and keep going.
Be here all night.
Any parting thoughts, Mr. Jim Powers? First episode back in over a year and a half.
Thank you so much for having me back. It is wonderful to see your beautiful faces again, gentlemen. It is lovely to talk about this sport that we love so much. I'm actually optimistic. Record this; it'll never happen again. It'll never happen again. I will be back to my cynical, angry self next time, yelling about refereeing and probably team names again. But
Streaming.
I did get in some anger about a team name. So there is some tradition that has been followed. But I will pass this over to Mr. Lance.
Well, first thing is JP. Hey man, it's good to have you again. This is going to be a great year, a great season. Mm-hmm. Everyone that's watching this, that may watch this, show some love to Dustin.
Yes.
Or listen. Show some love to Dustin, stepping up big time. There's a lot of people who, and it's one of the reasons I'm okay with bigging them up. You know what I'm saying? Not only as the proprietor of this Rugby League in America situation that we're in right now, but also there's a lot of people who, and myself included in this, who sit on the sideline and just as part of the peanut gallery hurls their own feces at. I'm gonna use more colorful wording, but they hurl junk at the people in charge, or they're not doing it right, or they're not doing it good enough. The opportunity presents itself, and he stepped up big, not only then, but in Vegas and a bunch of other ways. And that is a part of also what we need. Someone asks what they can do to get involved. One step is to actually get involved, be part of a team being created, be part of a team building, invite your friends out, make the community bigger. And then also for what he did was a step up in the actual role that is defined and is going to be actually critiqued. Big work ahead, and I can't wait to see how this all turn out, man. This is something we needed.
I know you're making me look bad, Dustin. Now I gotta do something. I know I gotta get off my.
You do your part. Listen, the guy at the end of the bar that gets people to appreciate this game is as important as anyone else. Don't you dare for a second lessen your worth for this, all right?
Thank you, Lance. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, and yes, listen, there's things that you can do and get involved. Reach out to me on social media. Reach out to me. Reach out to the USARL on social media.
I gotta say, reaching out to people that's like a huge thing in itself. People be excited to get an email about this thing that they're doing, or a text message, or a phone call or something. People are paying attention. Some sign of life out there.
It's happening now.
It's awesome.
Lance, I don't know what you're writing, but the screen can't.
I'm scared.
That. So if you're writing something on the board.
No worry. It's for me. It's for me. It's for my own mental.
It's a personal affirmation.
It's for Lance to say, I need to be involved in a committee on the USARL board.
That's exactly the situation. I got. If when that opportunity pops up, I won't raise my hand. I'm gonna make sure that I have some input on that.
When Lance is president in 5 years, I'm just gonna remember this. Lance's wife is gonna kick my ass.
Anyway. Well, thank you guys. Thanks, Damien, for the kind words. Everybody for the kind words. Listen, it's not something I do because I want any of the flowers, as they say. I'm happy to continue to help this game grow. Happy to continue to do the things that are important. And there are lots of things that are important. And the way that we continue to operate as a rugby league entity in the United States, we're baby steps, right? Baby steps. Happening.
But forward motion.
And we'll get right. It's forward. We're gonna get there. It's Dylan says, please read my final thoughts.
Oh no, I'm scared.
Did he have a final? I don't know.
I'm scared.
Somewhere. Anyway. But he said, early congratulations. God save us all with a JP and Lance broadcast.
Oh,
national championship.
People are not ready. People are not ready. Not ready. Imagine Jimmy V and what's his face who does basketball. Oh my God, the guy who's really super jacked up all the time. white dude, old guy. Come on, Dustin, you're killing me.
Dick Vitale?
Yes.
Oh, baby!
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
diaper
yes.
candies!
Yes, this is gonna be me. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like a Jim Valvano Vital combination. Jimmy V and Dickie V. It's gonna be an old school. That's how I operate.
But thank you all. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate, welcome back home, Mr. Jim Powers.
Well, good to be home.
Too long. Lance,
been too long.
Won't
be that long again.
You back. Listen, don't forget to follow us, social media, RLA Podcast,
yes.
Podcast RLA. Go check out our YouTube channel. Check out old videos that we have of, the interviews that we've been doing since, the beginning of the year here on YouTube, trying to build that out. USARL.org if you want to find out more information on everything going on. RugbyLeagueInAmerica.net. You can go on there. There's some jerseys and stuff that we have for sale. There's gear. There's national championship gear for the Pelicans that's on there. If you want to buy some crazy championship gear, we'll try to put some more stuff out. It is always an absolute pleasure to talk rugby league with these two gentlemen and to sit down and actually talk with each one of you throughout the rest of the weeks and stuff through social media and whatnot. I greatly appreciate this. I look forward to a very exciting domestic season.
This is the biggest year in years.
Biggest year in years.
Biggest year in years.
This is a monumental moment in rugby league history in the U.S.
Get in now.
With a year a summer that's going to see, in the U.S. RLBC too. Actually, don't worry.
Yeah.
But what's happening in the U.S. this year with the men's game being 21 teams, I think is what it is, 20 teams, something like that, and the women's game having 16, and the youth at the end of the summer going over and playing in Serbia. Holy Moses!
Couldn't make it up.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for sticking around on this great episode of Rugby League in America Live. For Jim Powers, Mr. Great American Rugby and South Lance Cavanaugh, my name is Dustin Zare, and this has been Rugby League in America.